Hey everyone, good morning. Today is October 29th, 2024. The time is 9:31. Coffee. Trying to do videos in the morning because usually when I wake up in the morning, I'm waking up with messages from the Lord. I get a lot of downloads when I'm sleeping. I absolutely love it. By midday, later in the day, the messages aren't coming through as clearly. And so trying to get on a little bit earlier. Just started doing videos. I'm never sure where I'm going to post them. I don't get a lot of hits yet, um, but that's okay. I think over time, some of the messages people will find. We are in a time of transition, and I do know that the information I have, I'm being called to help transition the world and make the shift. And for a long time, the world has been in one place, and we are shifting into a new space. So pouring new wine into old wineskins isn't an easy process. And so I'm sort of in this place where I understand the old, I understand the new. The new doesn't necessarily connect with the old doesn't necessarily connect with the new. And I'm just like in the middle because I can be in both places. So sometimes, I'm here to kind of just help make a transition. So I'm going to try to bring in a little bit of both worlds. So what am I talking about? Well, we got the world that we can see, and we got the world that we can't see. We got the world of the flesh, we got the world of the spirit. Some people believe in the spirit, some people don't. Some people believe in God, some people don't. And I don't care where anyone's out. I would just like to do a Halloween message for those who would listen. We are in a time in history right now. If you go to church, if you don't go to church, you can feel it. The world is going through a lot. We got a war in Israel that is fulfilling biblical prophecies. A lot of church pastors know we're in the last days and they're telling their congregation to be ready. And that's awesome. And then we have people who, the Bible, people have been saying that for 2,000 years. And they're completely unaware and they don't care because they think they're disappearing into the air and they don't have to do anything. So everybody has their own thoughts on where they are. But what I will tell you, without any question, is that the occult and the people who worship a dark entity know exactly where we are in history, and they know exactly what's going on, and they know exactly what they're doing in this world. And there are thousands upon thousands of children missing, border crossings, and people going missing all over the world, and a lot of animals being sacrificed, because we are in a time when they are using a lot of sacrifice, a lot of painful energy, and they are conjuring spells to keep everybody in the dark so nobody sees what's going down. Okay? Take it or leave it, it's happening. We are coming in on Halloween. This is their most sacred day of the entire year, where they all come together and focus their energy as one, using the pain of children and the pain of animals, sorry to be so graphic, to add to that energy to keep all of the world in the dark and continue to try to win in a war in a spiritual realm that most cannot see. So my message to the church, to you, if you are going to participate in Halloween, which is fine, nope, no problem, but be sober-minded. Be aware that there is an enemy out there, one that you cannot see. Sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can't, because they will be trying to lure you into their traps, seduce you on this day. So let me explain. I'm going to give you a Halloween story. This was a couple years ago. I don't necessarily like to participate in Halloween. I find that when I go places and sometimes someone approaches you with a scary mask, you really don't know what you're dealing with. It could be a stranger, or it could be a friend who's just trying to, hey, isn't this so funny? But what I find is a lot of time people are very bold. They put on masks and they do things that they wouldn't normally do. So I don't like to wear masks. I don't like to be approached with people in masks. Don't like to be touched by people in masks. And Halloween is a time when it tends to happen. If you hear me sounding a little it's because I don't like it all the time. I don't like it ever. Okay. So if you're an adult and you go out to parties, if you're with your friends, you know you're safe. So I'm not really talking specifically to my personal crowd, the crowd that I felt very comfortable with. But a couple of years ago, I went out and I visited a place that I don't normally go. And I really felt like God called me to go. He wanted me to just observe. And I really wasn't sure why. But I sat in the back, I listened to this music, and there was this band up there, and they were playing all the great songs from the 80s. And they were dressed like devils, okay? Wearing red horns, nothing scary, but dressed like devils. Oh, isn't that so cute? We're worshiping, we're dancing to the devil's band, right? But they were playing the music that everybody grew up with. So all the classics. And the whole crowd was singing along and drinking and having a great time. Well, I began to notice that the man on the stage was changing the words. Okay. Very subtly. Most people didn't even know. Everybody was singing along the way they would always sing. But he was literally changing words. And he was changing things in a way that was becoming he was adding these very sexual innuendos over words that really weren't sexual. And I did have the Lord really speaking to me, and he was just telling me to observe. And I noticed that as this continued to go on, and I was like, whoa, what did he just say? People were missing it. But the Lord had me very tuned in and sober and alert. And I began to watch almost like this spell just being cast on this group. And it became a group that it turned into a very, not just your normal bar scene, okay, that people, bar scene. No, it became a very seductive, interesting scene going on. And there was I saw a husband and wife, and pretty soon the wife was kind of flirting with the guy next to her, and the guy was flirting with the gal next to him. And this was unusual for this couple that I was observing, because I kind of knew them, not really, but I had observed them many times, but this was unusual. And nobody really seemed to notice what was going on. Nobody was cluing in that he was changing the words. So at the break, he kind of came down and he was in the back. And before he went back up on stage, I said, "Hey, can I ask you something?" "Sure." And behind him the whole time, the Lord had also clued me in that there was a banner behind him. And the banner was referring to red shoes and red things and things that I have been first starting to be alerted to, but now know a lot more about, guys. And I asked him, "Do you know what the red shoes are?" He did. He'd heard. Okay, so he immediately goes, "Oh, no. That's not what it means. I have a friend who's in the Satanic Church, and he told me that that is not true." Okay? Instantly knew what I was going to say. Now, if you don't know what the red shoes are, go look it up, because I don't want to go into it. But he knew, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And I said, and at that point, I said, "Oh, I was trying to be nice, but I knew that I was calling out somebody who was intentionally working a crowd with full knowledge of what he was doing." And I called him out a little bit. I said, "You're changing a lot of words in your songs. Is there a reason for that?" And he got very mad at me, and he walked away. And I just calmly said, "I'm going to expose you." And he didn't like that, but he walked away because he knew what he was doing. He had a conscious awareness that he was casting spells on a group of people who were absolutely unaware of what he was doing. Okay. So I just want to warn you that if you're going out, be aware that this is a time when people who don't have the best intentions are taking advantage of people who have no idea that a realm exists where you can be kind of put to sleep, kind of hypnotized in your singing along and in your when you're having your drinks, but they can take advantage. And behind the scenes, there are a lot of people who are into witchcraft, seances. They are doing a lot of sacrificing on this day. The people who work the shelters know not to let people adopt black cats, anything perfect and unblemished, cattle. It's weird. I know. We all know it's weird, but it's real, guys, and it is a dark energy. Um, and there's reports coming out that a lot of children are missing from the boarding crossing, something like 300,000. This isn't a coincidence, and it's not for those of us who are watching. It's horrific. It's horrific. So if you're out dressed up, please be aware of what's going on around you. Please be aware that a lot of children do go missing on this night. Please be aware that if there are people scared around you and you are someone who knows the Lord, take the fear out of this day. I remember when my kids were little, it was controversial. Do you let the kids participate in Halloween or not? Do you let the kids dress up on Halloween day at school or not? And I chose as a parent, everybody's got to do what they feel comfortable with. For me, I chose not to recognize Satan. I didn't give him a holiday. He doesn't get a holiday in my world, okay? But I also don't think witches and witchcraft is part of a dark art. So those are things that I wouldn't let them dress up as, okay? Um, because it makes it seem like, oh, it's okay, it's fun. But right now, we have people in politics who are active, known witches, and they take it very serious. It is their church. Okay, it is church. So it kind of blurs the lines for people, and it doesn't really. It I personally, the Lord won't let me do that. Okay, but that's no judgment on anybody who maybe you haven't seen it the same way I do. There's no judgment. Okay, but just be aware that it can blur the lines a little bit for like the children, for example. So I remember one Halloween I was taking my daughter. We were walking, and my son was a little more brave. Plus, he was a little older, and and you could go trick or treating right with the kids. And you come up on a house, and some of them were amazing. They would do months. They put together these huge haunted houses, and some were fun, but some were scary. Okay, um, if it got too dark and demonic in the feel, we by what she was seeing, and I knew this neighbor day, and we walked up, and I said to the gentleman, would you mind taking off your mask so my daughter can see who you are? And he's like, oh, sure. And he took it off. He goes, hey, it's okay. And she looked, and I said, you see, baby, it's all pretend. It's not real. And she was a little bit braver after that. You guys, they put on a lot of masks during this time. They make people afraid. And even as adults, we don't like to look into that realm. It's a little scary. So we tend to ignore it. We don't want to believe it's happening. But it is happening. And God is calling the church to wake up, guys. He is calling us to engage. Our world, there is a lot of suffering on innocent children, children in the womb, full term children in the womb, being sacrificed for the almighty dollar. And that is that's a slaughter on a whole different level. But literally on this day, you guys, we are looking at a world. If we don't come together and start looking into this darkness and putting an end to the criminal activity that some people think they have the right to do, our world is going to continue to get darker and darker. So this is my Halloween warning to the church. I know it's a little strong, but that's because the Lord wanted it to be. He laid it on my heart to do this. And God bless you guys. Let's stay safe this Halloween, and let's make sure the children are safe too. Okay. Have a great day. Bye.